scran and blether, come on in, scran and blether, welcome to good food and good chat. Come have a chat.
Hello my lovelies, I'm back in the kitchen again. I don't know what's happening with this light. It's like the sun is shining, it's a beautiful day. And I'm going to make a sort of Spanish sausage casserole. I'm calling it Spanish just because I'm putting a bit of chorizo and paprika in it. So I'm going to get the recipe for that and then get it all prepped and come back with how we go about it. So get everything ready, get it all out, go through your list of ingredients when you're making a recipe and have everything sort of in the order in which you're going to use it. The fancy French phrase for that is something like mise en place. It's just like putting everything in its place, really. And that was an expression that was around long before the fancy French chefs came up with it. I remember like my wee granny saying to me, there's a place for everything and everything in its place, and it pays to be organised, and preparation's the key and all of that stuff. So you have everything laid out in front of you that you're going to use, and then you're not going likely to forget anything and mess up your recipe, or be needing it and then have to take your eyes off something and it maybe gets burnt because you're having to go reaching for things and searching for things that you didn't have already looked out. So that's what we're going to do. So we can read through the recipe for this, and it is 4 celery sticks, finely chopped. I have my celery sticks here, and I'm going to chop them. 2 big carrots, I've got like 4 smaller ones, a big onion, 2 cans of chopped tomatoes, 6 to 8 cloves of crushed garlic, so I'm going to crush the garlic, and a pint of chicken stock, which I have here ready, and I'm going to have I'm not drinking yet, but I might be soon, 125 ml of white wine. You can leave the wine out if you're not a drinker, or you, for any reason you wouldn't want alcohol in your food, although it does get cooked out, you can totally leave it out. And I'm going to use 12 sausages for this. You can use less, but I'm going to use 12 sausages because I'm using 2 cans of tomatoes. You can half all of this. I'm using about 150 grams of chorizo. It comes like this, and then I just cut it into quarters, the chorizo, because I like small bits, so I do that. You don't need to, you can throw them in the big circles. You can also buy the sausage kind and cut it into little chunks. I prefer this thin one. It's just my personal taste, but you can absolutely use the sausage type and just cut it into little cubes if you like that one. I'm not as keen on the texture of that one, so I tend to use the little slices whenever I'm doing anything with chorizo. Just my personal preference. And what else? Yep, we're going to have 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of fenugreek. I think fenugreek gives a kind of earthiness and a little bit of aroma to it. A tablespoon of thyme or Italian blend herbs. Your pork sausages. I don't eat red meat. I do cook it for my husband, but I don't personally eat it myself. So I'm using pork sausages for this. 2 tablespoons of tomato puree, half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of Worcester sauce, and I think that's it. I think that's all. Yeah, so I'm going to get the veggies and everything all chopped and prepped up, and I'll put all my spices, my condiments and spices in some little, oh my goodness, I'm having brain fog. I'm a woman of a certain age, the brain fog kicks in, but I also have pernicious anemia, and with that, one of my symptoms when I'm due my B12 injection is brain fog. The word is there and I can't get it out, so I'm having one of those days. So yes, I'm going to get all of that sorted, and then I'll come back to you with the rest. Now, when I've made this sausage casserole in the past, I have topped it off with slices of potato. So you would parboil your potato, cut it into sort of fairly sort of medium thin slices, and lay all that along the top the parboiled and sliced, and you lay them on the top before you put it in the oven. Today I want to make Parmesan potatoes to go as a side dish from this, so I'm not going to top it with potatoes today, but that is the sort of way I would normally do it. It's more like a sort of hot pot casserole type thing, so I'm not doing that today. And for that I would probably use a potato like a Maris Piper or something like that, would go good on top of that. But today I'm not doing that. I'll do the Parmesan potato recipe after this recipe, so I'm doing that as a side. So for the topping for this, I'm just going to sprinkle some breadcrumbs and some Parmesan cheese along the top just to give it a little crust on the top. So that'll be the topping. So I'll measure that out and tell you that at the end. Let's get prepped. So the veggies are prepped. The sausages I have fried off. I like them to have a good colour in them, and I'm going to cut them up probably into 3 or 4 pieces, so there's a big bite-sized chunk. So they're going to sit there just now until the sauce gets ready. We have our sofrito. We have our celery, carrots and onion cut up small. These make the base a really tasty sauce for the, oh my goodness, the brain fog. Make a really good base. They make a really good base for like a good Italian pasta sauce, and they make a really good base for like a ragu when you're cooking like meat. So you would start off with this. It's good for the base for soup as well. So it's a good base. So onions, carrot and celery cut up really small, and this will be the base for this sausage casserole. I also have the spices and the herbs mentioned, along with my Worcester sauce and my tomato puree, and my tinned tomatoes are open ready, and my glass of wine. About the wine, Keith Floyd, for anyone who doesn't know, would have said he was the original TV chef that I grew up watching when I was a child, and he would have said, if it's not good enough to drink, it's not good enough to put in your food. So this is just a dry white wine. It happens to be Pinot Grigio, which is my tipple, but a dry white wine, so that's what's going in there, a glass of it. My stock, my crushed garlic, it's about 6 big cloves in there. I like things really garlicky, so you could absolutely put in 2 to 3 cloves, that would be enough. And the chorizo cut up into small slices. So that's it. I'm going to fry this off and get this going, and once it gets going I'll show you. So I would start off by frying off the onion and the celery and the carrot for 5 minutes or so, and then I would get the chorizo in, and then the garlic and the rest. So we'll do that, and if possible I will take you with me and show you as I progress. So here we are, just getting the oil heated up, a little bit of oil to brown off the onions, and that's the sausages there all cut up ready to go in. So when this is on, I'll start the potatoes and I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. I bought a bag of small Scottish potatoes. It says here Scottish baby potatoes. Little ones around that sort of size. So in Scotland we'd call it wee baby tatties. Wee baby tatties. So it's about 1 kilo of those. So you just put them in a pot of cold salted water, in a large pot where they've got enough room to move around, and then bring it up to the boil, and then turn it to a simmer. And you'd simmer them for about 10 minutes or so till they're sort of almost cooked, and then put them in a colander. So I'll get them on once I've got the ragu on the go, the sofrito on the go. So onions first, and then it doesn't matter if a couple of carrots end up in there as well. So get the onions on the go for a couple of minutes first. It's in a medium to high heat. And around. Turn it down to a 6. And we started at a 7 and now round it up to 9. So when you see them starting to turn from white to slightly translucent, I would then just add in the carrots and the celery. So it really doesn't take long, just a few minutes. It's starting to go translucent now. We don't have to be completely soft yet because this is going to go in for a little while. So there we go. And now in with the carrots and the celery. Some juice should come out of the carrot. Well, so just cook that for a few minutes till it begins to soften a little bit. If you find your pan is a little bit dry, some juice should naturally come out of the onions as they sweat, and some juice should come out of the carrots, so your pan shouldn't be dry. But if you feel it is a little bit dry and anything's going to stick, you just add a little splash of your chicken stock. And wait just now because the bottom of the pan's still got a bit of moisture in it from the sweating onions. So just let that soften a little bit for a few minutes. So I'll keep this for a couple of minutes until it softens a little bit more. And then I'll add the chorizo, which will release a bit of fat and give it all flavour. You can leave that out if you don't like chorizo. You could just purely do it with the sausages. Or you could put bacon, some chopped up, I would say smoked bacon probably would be better for the more intense flavour. So that's starting to soften a little bit more. The onions are looking a little bit more sweated down. I could show you. So there we go, and now I'm just going to add in chorizo. I like to throw it about. All areas covered. I'm not a just dump it on type of person. Depends. Right. And add the rest. Just so it's well incorporated. It's not stuck to one area of the pot. Normally I'd have the fan on just now, but it'll be too noisy. And I don't have it set up properly with speakers and all that kind of stuff, so I'll just move that around a bit and put the rest of this chorizo in. There we go. And it doesn't really take long because you can eat that straight out of the packets. It's not like it really needs cooked. So that's that. So I'll just keep this moving around so it doesn't stick, doesn't catch. E-bump, and it's all getting cooked evenly. So just give it another couple of minutes before I add the rest, before I add the garlic. As I've said this before, but garlic burns really easily, and so you need to watch that. You don't put it in too high and too dry. High and dry is burnt. So I like there to be something in that gives off a little bit of fat and a little bit of juice before I add garlic. So for the next thing, so I've got that flavour in there. You can see the paprika for the Chorizo's beginning to colour the onions. I'm just looking, heard a noise there. It's my husband in the other room talking to the TV. I think he's answering the questions to the quiz shows. So, it's looking good. It's looking the way it should look. I'll take you with me and show you. Let's see. Here we go. So here we are. It's sizzling nicely. Yeah, hopefully that's okay. So now I would add, I think it's time to add the garlic. Gorgeous. Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy. Okay. So once the garlic in, then bring the herbs. I'll do the herbs in there. So I'm adding my aromatics. I'd say spices, but they're not that spicy really. So aromatics. Yes. And again, once you add stuff like that, if you're adding any sort of powdered herbs or powdered spices, if you think it's looking dry, it's going to stick. You don't want them to burn, because they burn. You would just add a splash of your stock. It's looking okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. I like them, all the lovely aromatic herbs just to infuse really beautifully. Oh, so nice. Right, so now I will add, I think I'll add the wine. No, I'll add these other herbs. The Italian mix. I mean, I cheap to call it a Spanish sausage casserole, and I'm saying put Italian mix herbs in, but I mean it's all for the Mediterranean, it's all delicious. All the good stuff comes from abroad. Right, so that's all incorporated in, and now I will add the wine. White wine. Oh, the like sound of it. Gorgeous. Just give that a few minutes. Cook off the alcohol. Carrots are still quite hard. It'll take a wee while, so I'm going to let that simmer away a little bit. So then I will add the tomatoes. I'll give that a couple of minutes. While I'm doing that, I'm going to get these potatoes on the go for the parmesan potatoes. I'll show you what you need for them in a minute. So, pot of potatoes, salted, as I said already. Turn that up to 8. Pop the lid on. Where's the lid? Here it is. Pop the lid on until it comes up to the boil, and then I'll turn it down to simmer. This is simmering away, so it's kind of high simmer. It's at 6 out of 9. So I will now add in my tomatoes, chopped tomatoes. Get this bit of the label. Chopped tomatoes, put tins, make it half the amount of what I'm doing here. I'm putting 12 sausages in that. You could do like half of all of this and just do a pack of 6 sausages if you're only making it for. I mean, everything else you've got in here, that would probably be enough to feed 4 people just using the pack of 6 sausages. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but you've got chorizo in there as well and all those vegetables, so it probably would be enough for a dinner for 4. I'll make it again and measure it all out and see just what it looks like portioned out, because this is quite a big. I always make more because, well, I often have my dad round for dinner on a Sunday, so I usually cook a meal, a full meal on a Sunday, something nice from scratch. I cook from scratch all the time anyway, but something that I prep and cook all in the one day, and often during the week if we've made a couple of meals at the weekend, I'll make enough to portion off some and put in the fridge or put in the freezer for during the week for time saving, and also so you're not tempted just to eat like convenience processed food, because we know people get busy with work and for especially for working mothers juggling family life, and it's a lot, and I don't have that and it's still a lot. So yeah, so for saving time for me when I come home from work, I don't want to start cooking from scratch, and I work all different hours, so it wouldn't be convenient to come in at 7 o'clock at night and then start cooking a meal from scratch. So when you can make things in larger portions and you can put things in the fridge and in the freezer, and I always try and make meals that do refrigerate and freeze well. So I don't know if I've frozen this one yet to see how it defrosts, because this is fairly new. I've not been making this one very long. So yeah, that's simmering away lovely, and it will reduce down. It's quite juicy, it's looking quite juicy. I'm wondering if I maybe only used 1 tin of tomatoes last time. So I'm going to put my, I'm going to put the tomato puree and the Worcester sauce in now. And these will give it a depth of flavour. And if you don't like Worcester sauce, you don't have to have it. You don't really taste it. It just adds a bit of depth. So I'm just mixing it in. Just splash that all over the place there. I am not a neat and tidy cook. Definitely a tidy as you go person. I don't like having big piles of dishes and utensils to clean at the end. I like to tidy as I go, but it's all over the counters and all over myself. So now I'm going to put in the stock. Sorry if that was so noisy there. And what I'll do is pour it in there to rinse that out, so we're not wasting any. And the same with the remainders of what's in there. Tomato can, give it a little swirl, pour it in there. Give it a little swirl, pour it in there, and just pour the rest of that in. There we go. The stock will be fairly salted, but I'll just give it a little bit of salt. And you can check it for seasoning later. A couple of pinches of black pepper. And again, we'll test it later. Do the taste test later. So that is it. And this is absolutely so tasty. So tasty. And what I'll do now is give it another little stir. And then put the lid on, turn it down, and let it simmer for, I'm going to let it simmer on its own for 10 minutes before I put the sausages back in, because the sausages are already cooked. I don't want them like rubber. So I'll let that reduce. But then you want them in long enough that all the flavours from the sauce are going to infuse into the sausages, but not too long that they're going to fall apart. So that's on. The potatoes should be, that water should be coming into a boil. And I know a lot of people boil potatoes by putting potatoes into already boiling water. I don't do that. The rule that I've always been taught from like my mum and stuff is if it comes from the ground, you start it in cold water. So I just always went by that. So I think when you put potatoes into already boiling water, they can get all soft on the outside and not cooked in the middle, and they're just not cooked evenly. You do it this way, it works every time the way it's supposed to. So that's just one little thing that I've learned, little word of wisdom from my elders and betters. So we'll come back and look at this in a little while once it's had time to do its thing. Here it is, simmering away. Potatoes simmering away. Sauce looking delicious. Not put the sausages in yet, but I have put a cage over them because my lovely husband came in and tried to steal some. He said, I wish I had smelly vision because those smell amazing. Can I just have a bit? I said, no, you can't. I need it. It's my ingredients. You can't eat my ingredients. He's like, oh, and you go, just one bit of one. I said, no, I've got them counted. I wonder if anybody's ever got divorced because of a sausage casserole. Unbelievable cheek, the cheek of it. So no, I wouldn't let him have a bit. So he's like, oh, you're mean. So he's away. And I put a cage over them so that I hear him try to lift it when I left the room. So anyway, so this is bubbling away at the moment, and I am going to put together the recipe for the Parmesan potatoes. It is so easy and so foolproof and delicious. They turn out great every time. So I'm going to do those. I'm just waiting on these wee tarties softening a little bit. They don't need to be completely cooked, but we want them soft, a bit softer, so that when they go in the oven, they don't need to be in for ages and ages. So yeah, so those are delicioso, and we'll get them on the go. I think I'll have to start actually tying my hair up. So I always say, like, put the hair out of the face, getting any hair in the food, and I always tie my hair back when I'm cooking. But I suppose the vanity, I didn't want to be on camera in a ponytail or a bun. So I thought, a headband will be enough, but it's not really enough because my hair keeps falling over, and it's just the worst if you get a hair in your mouth from someone's cooked something, and it's just nothing more off-putting. So we'll have to make sure we don't do that. And this is me being the total blether, and that's why it's a scran and blether. My two most favourite things in life is eating and talking. And listening to people too. I love to just have chat, conversation. Yeah, we're all different types of people, and the scran is basically, I think, the nicest thing you can do for people is to feed them, Always made with love. Always, it's the secret ingredient. It makes things their best, because I always like to, when I'm cooking, to think of the person, the people that I'm cooking it for, and them enjoying it, and try and put that into the food. I know it might sound a bit weird, but that's what I do. Anyway, watch this space. I'll come back with the recipe for the Parmesan potatoes. Okay, the Parmesan potatoes. So I get a glass baking dish like this. I also, once your potatoes are being parboiled to the point where they're just about cooked, you will cut them in half and leave them sort of half side up for now to this on the side. It can be still pretty warm, or you can do it when they're cooled down. You could boil them the day before if you wanted to. I'd leave them sitting out of the fridge though for a wee while before you start. So then you're gonna take your olive oil and put a glug of it on the bottom of your roasting dish, maybe about a tablespoonful, and I just rub it with my fingers just to make sure that the entire base is coated, and just sort of round the sides a little bit as well, so none of it is dry. I've maybe done just slightly too much there. I'm just going to take a bit of parchment, kitchen paper and dab a little bit. I think I was a bit generous there with that. Right, so just a thin skim over the bottom of the, so it's all covered, it's all coated. It's slightly more than greased because you're going to have a mixture that's going to lie on top of that. Right, so then I would take, so you need Parmesan cheese, grated Parmesan, about 50 or 60 grams. So I have one of these small packets from a local supermarket, and the full pack is 60 grams, so I'll just use it all. So 60 grams of that, so I'll cut that open and just tip all that into a little bowl, because you're going to mix all these dry ingredients together. So these go in. Some it's a bit lumpy, so I'm just going to, hands-on type of person, I'll just stick my fingers in. You could do it with a fork if you don't want your fingers in. Just to kind of loosen that up, because you want it all crumbly. Right, so that's that. It's a bit clumped there. Right, so your Parmesan. Then you're going to put in a teaspoon of paprika powder. It could be smoked or just normal, whatever. So a teaspoon of that into there. Teaspoon of garlic granules, garlic powder into there. And I also like to add a teaspoon of onion powder, optional, but I like it. Teaspoon of onion powder into there. And I will put in some oregano, a teaspoon of oregano. You could use any other, you could use thyme, you could use a mix, you know, any other sort of dried herb that you like. I like a little bit of oregano in just for this one. And that's a teaspoon of that, teaspoon of that, teaspoon of that, and then half a teaspoon of salt. Because the Parmesan is salty, so it only needs half a teaspoon of salt. And then I would probably do a teaspoon of black pepper, level teaspoon of black pepper. Right, so I'll just mix all that together with a little whisker with your fingers. As you can see, I am doing it with my fingers. Then I take most of it, not all, completely all of it, most of it, and just sprinkle it along the bottom of your oiled dish. So the dish that you have just oiled, and you took most of it, leave maybe, I don't know, a quarter, 3/4 of it maybe, just leave about a quarter of it back, maybe even less, I'll show you. So you want the whole bottom layer of that pan to have covering, yeah, I've done probably about 5/6 of it, if you want to get technical, so I've left a little bit, and just give that a little bit of a shake. Just spread so that every part that's been oiled has some of the cheese mixture on it. Alrighty ho, and then So that's covered. Just a little baldy bit there. Right, so, and it's going to obviously have stuck to the oil. Then you're going to take your potatoes and put them flat side down and press it on to the cheese mixture, close together as possible. And I'll show you that when all that is done. So there we have it. So just close together as possible and just fill in every space. There's little bits in between that's not, obviously, because they're round, it's not all going to fit completely perfectly. So you just keep going until you've practically done the whole thing. So I'll just continue with this till it's all done. I'll try and be as quick as I can. So that, and your oven is preheating at 200. So it does get into a hot oven, and that's why I'm saying try and make sure your potatoes are sort of almost cooked. These are slightly under what I usually have them, I have to say. The knife did slide through them, but when I was cutting them in half, they do feel slightly harder than usual, but be okay, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure they'll cook. So, keep going. Just pressing that down and trying to fill up all the space that you can. And that was approximately a kilo bag of small potatoes that went into there, and it's more than enough. I'm going to have some left. It's good if you can get a bag where they're all almost the same size. I know it's not always possible, but if you can, that would be good. It's good to try and fit them all in. Get a little space there. Get that in there. I've got some that I've cut that I don't need actually. I might just try and slide a few little pieces in, see if that works. I don't know. A couple of spaces that are a little bit bigger. I'll see if I can squish a bit of potato into them. Right, so I'm going to take all day about it. So stick that in there. Right. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'll leave it at that. Right, so they're all on. Oh, not too bad. Right, so it looks like that. All quite close together. Then I'll just do another just little drizzle of oil, not a lot, just a little tiny drizzle over the top. So I literally have a tiny drizzle over the top. That looks more than it is because that's got a spout on it, which is really handy. And then I'll just sprinkle the little bit that's left to grip onto the little bit of oil that you've sprinkled onto the top. Some of it will stick, some of it will fall through, but it doesn't matter. So that is it. That is it. Super easy, super easy. So these go in to the 200-degree oven. Now the reason I've put them in this glass thing is because you can lift it out and look underneath and see that they're not getting burnt and that it is actually all cooked, because underneath will look kind of a bit like a bit of crispy cheese. Potatoes stick to it and give it a really lovely coating. It's one of my favourite. It's one of my favourite potato dishes. So that just goes into the oven, and that'll take 30 to 40 minutes. So I keep looking. I mean, people's ovens are vary. I say a 200-degree fan oven, and some people that might be a little bit hot, maybe 180. But for me, this oven's 200-degree fan, and that's what works. You want them nice and caramelised, so they don't look pale. I like things slightly on the edge of burning, but I'll show you at the end. And as I say, this turns out wonderful every time. Just keep an eye, keep your timer, and show you at the end. I'm going to check on my sausage casserole and see how that's doing. Look at the state of that, by the way. That is, I now need glasses to watch TV, fell asleep with the glasses on, and woke up with that, a face like that. Hellish. Anyway, let's see these when they're done. bet they're delicious. So, I just remembered that instead of putting the sliced potatoes on the top of the sausage casserole, I was going to put breadcrumbs. And I thought, I'm not going to use packet breadcrumbs. I have some there for like fried chicken or whatever. I decided what I've done before, I did it with a flour tortilla, but this time a wholemeal pita bread. I just rolled it up and grated it. So just grated it with the box grater into crumb. So as small breadcrumbs as I can, and then just kind of pulled apart the bits that before I grated my fingers. So that, and now the casserole is ready, and it doesn't take long at all in the oven. So I'm just going to give you a little swatch of that. It's lovely and thick and beautiful. Right, so ready to put the sausages in. And so I'm going to put it in the actual casserole dish because it's only my husband and I for dinner tonight. So I want to keep the base and put it into other dishes rather than put it into a great big casserole dish. We only eat a little bit of it and then I'm reheating it and reheating it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it into the containers. So I'll put one in a smaller casserole dish for my dad, another one in another small dish for me and my husband. So today I'm just putting it in this. It'll be enough for the two of us. That'll be more than enough for the two of us. So I'm just going to put enough for the two of us in this and then put that in the oven to toast off the topping with the grated breadcrumbs and a little bit of grated parmesan. They'll go nice with the parmesan potatoes anyway. So, but the alternative is to put sliced potato on the top, which is also lovely. So either or, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you the result before I put it in the oven just now. So I might as well just show you me doing it. I'm just going to put like as much of the sausages that I think we'll eat in the bottom of this. Well, a bit of sauce first, a bit of the lovely sauce first to coat the bottom, and then sausages. I'm not sure. I don't know how many. That many. It's not sausage surprise I find any. Right, so I'll put enough in there and then top it with this, and I'll just let the rest of that cool down and then I'll distribute it out like that. Plenty. Oh, he could have had a couple. I was mean earlier. No, you're not getting any. I need my ingredients. Get away. Stop trying to steal my ingredients. Anyway, right, so sausage casserole in. We'll never eat all that. That's absolutely delicious. Delicious. So that's that ready. And then I'll just top it with the breadcrumbs. Another thing you could do if you wanted, you could put some lumps of mozzarella cheese in it to melt in it. That would be lovely as well. So just a sec to get my breadcrumbs. Okay, breadcrumbs on the top. I had sprinkled a tiny bit of parmesan on first there, and then I thought, oh, I better record. So that's the breadcrumbs. The amount of breadcrumbs I've put on there is the equivalent to almost one pita bread. You could use any breadcrumbs if you've got stale bread, a tortilla, some leftover normal bread. It's better if it's not soft. That's why I thought I'll use this pita bread, because it's a packet that's already been opened and not fresh enough to eat. Well, you could toast them, but I thought I'm not going to use them now, so sprinkle a little bit of parmesan on there. A clump, get rid of that. There we go, a bit of that. And that can go in the oven till it's toasty. And that's it. I'll show you when it comes out. Right, so it's time now for the sausage casserole to come out of the oven and the parmesan potatoes. It's all looking wonderful and delicious. So here are the parmesan potatoes, and as I said, you can look underneath and see it's all nice and toasty golden brown. So that'll go there. And the small sausage casserole for my husband and I for dinner tonight. So I would recommend leaving the sausage casserole for 10 minutes or so to cool down, and the sauce will remain thick. If I dish it up right now, it's going to look a little bit runny, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So here's the lovely parmesan potatoes. They'll come up kind of joined together, and you see they've got a lovely caramelised crust underneath. I like them slightly overdone like that. You could take them out a little bit earlier and have them sort of slightly more golden, but I do really like them darker and crunchier. So this is personal taste, and some of this, I'll leave it for a second. I just want to show you. So I've made a large portion. You can half the ingredients, and so I've got one here for my dad. I put a little bit of parmesan on there. The remainder of the potatoes that were left, I'm going to just put them across the top, and his can go in the oven. And my lovely husband is taking this one to work with him. For him and his business partner, they're away off working away from home next week, so they get to take that. And I'll probably have the leftovers from this tomorrow or the next day. So it's quite a lot, but as I say, I always batch cook because it saves time and energy during the week, and it means I can share it with my loved ones because I'm a bit of a feeder. So that's it. Hope you make it. It's absolutely delicious. I'm going to put a little bit out now if I don't burn myself. A little bit of this. As you see, it's toasty and golden on the top. It's got a little bit of a crunch. And the alternative is you can put the sliced potatoes on the top. You can see it's lovely and oozing. It would remain thicker if you left it to sit for a little bit before you dish it up. I just wanted to show you it's complete. It's probably too hot to eat right now, so I decided to put a little bit of mozzarella in. I had a bit of mozzarella cheese that was ready to go out of date, and I don't waste food, so I decided to just put a couple of little bits of mozzarella in the sauce. And so let's give it a little taste to see. Absolutely delicious. Another one you have to make, and you can make it ahead. You can make it a day ahead. Refrigerates well, portion it up, freeze it. It's a good one for the family.
Scran and blether, scran and blether, scran.